So go ahead and take a comfortable posture, but one that allows you to remain alert. Your hands in your lap if you're seated. Your eyes either halfway closed looking down, or if you prefer, you can close your eyes. And we take 3 deep breaths to begin. In and out, and in and out, and in and out. Go ahead then and just breathe normally. Let your breath come, the in breath, followed by the out breath. That slight pause before the next in breath begins. You feel your belly rise as you breathe in and fall as you breathe out. Turning your attention to that breath. Initially, letting the chatter of your mind go in the background. Just turning that light on your breath. Focusing in your belly, feeling the belly rise and the belly fall. And if it helps, you can use a few words to label it. Say breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in as your belly rises, breathing out as your belly falls. And just stay with that breath, following that line through each breath, as if you're stringing pearls on a string, stringing that in breath and out breath, then the next and the next, till you have a chain of those gem-like breaths. And if your mind wanders, there's no judgment, no need to berate yourself. You just return to that breath. As much as this is a practice of paying attention, it's also a practice of returning, coming back to that object of attention. Waking up to this moment we're in right now. Noticing we may have drifted into the past or the future, into worry, sadness, or even excitement. And not trying to push those feelings away any more than we try to shut off the thoughts going on in our minds, but just noting them and returning to the breath. Sometimes it can be even helpful to just label those. Sadness, anger, here comes happiness, here comes worry. And we can acknowledge it and let it in with kind of a welcoming, it's you again. Letting it come and go as it will, just as the breath does. And you can open wider that light of the attention. It can either function like a flashlight, a pen light, focused very narrowly on the breath, or on thoughts, feelings, sensations in the body. Or you can open it wider, like a spotlight, or even like the sunlight that shines on everything. Nothing left out. You become aware of your body. You become aware of the tension that may be present in your forehead, your neck, or your hands. Let that go. Not having to push it away, just realizing that it takes energy to maintain that. And when we can stop maintaining it, we aren't using that energy, and we find it just dissolves oftentimes. Most everything we think or feel will come and go. Even pain ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's very sharp. Sometimes it's gone for a while, and then it returns. And we can just note whether we're standing or sitting or lying down. This is a practice that you can carry in your back pocket, really, and use whenever you remember to. Yesterday, for our mindfulness group, let's see, David and Judy were off visiting family. Josh was coming back from a funeral. Sam initially was chasing some woodchucks around, trying to catch them and get them out of her garden. But she made it. So we just had a night visit, did a very short mindfulness exercise, and thought we'd save this one, that I'd record this the next day. And as I say, it got me thinking of how this really is a practice we can keep in our back pockets, always there when we need it or when we remember to use it. We can use it when we're bored, when we're standing in line at the grocery store, when we're sitting in the waiting room of the doctor's office. We can just stop to feel that breath, to savor and enjoy that breath, or perhaps to notice if it's an appointment with a doctor that's bringing us some anxiety. We can notice how that breath is coming faster. We can notice our thoughts of worry and not engage with them. Just let them come. For what we find is we can either try and fight them off, which seems to make them stronger. We can engage with them and give them more energy, or we can just notice them and let them come and go. I think sometimes that engagement is like what we may do if we wake in the middle of the night. Many of us who are prone to depression or worry, we wake in the middle of the night and just automatically turn to things we need to worry about. In the dark and quiet of the night, it sometimes seems that's just what we're supposed to do. But that's a choice too. We can engage with those, or we can let them come as they might and not have to attach to them. Let them come and go. And that can be a time too to turn to the breath, to turn to the body, to just be aware that we're lying in bed, where we're resting our hands, rather than tapping our feet on that imaginary floor. We can just relax and become still and turn our attention to that breath and that body. And sometimes we notice that slows the thinking down and we may be able to get back to sleep. Or at least we're in a state of rest, even if we're unable to sleep. Being unable to sleep is always an interesting experiment too. It's that very anxiety about not sleeping that keeps us awake. It's anything that stimulates us that makes it harder to fall asleep. So instead we relax, we become present, and we watch that breath. And we also have it in our back pocket for those times when we're upset or angry. We can take it out. Take just a few breaths. Take a moment to become aware of where we may be holding tension in our bodies, where we're so upset we're one big fist. Our body is a fist, and we want to just leap forward and deal with what's angering us, to take hold of it and shake it till it changes. We can be aware of that too. Again, not trying to fight it, but not encouraging it. There may something we can learn from it. Perhaps we've been ignoring something we're angry about. Or we can just pay attention to it, feel it in our body, and let it come and go. This mindfulness practice, as I think about it, is almost like a Swiss Army knife. We can use it to cut through that anger. We can use it as a tool to look at and perhaps fix some frustrations we're feeling, some worries we have, that if we examine them, we pick them up with the tweezers in that Swiss Army knife and see that they're really nothing to them. And we can drop them and let them go. Or it can even be like the Swiss Army knife we keep in our pocket, simply to take some pleasure in whittling a stick for no real purpose, just whittling it to enjoy the feeling of using our hands, perhaps seeing what comes of it. And we can do that too, simply enjoy this moment of these bodies and this breath that we have. Use the mindfulness to kind of turn them over at our hands, to look at them, to see what we may be missing. And there it's a tool almost like a magnifying glass. We can look closely at things. Perhaps we've been ignoring the scent of summer in the air, or someone in another room who's making sounds, and we hear them and are comforted by their presence. Perhaps the crabapple tree is in bloom outside our door and we can smell it. Or we're at work and someone's eating a cinnamon roll and we can smell that and just enjoy that. And this can be done by ourselves or when we're in a group, which is another thing that's useful and kind of wonderful about it, that we can simply enjoy our moment alone, take that time with ourselves to savor that flow of time, being aware of our body, our thoughts, our sensations. Or we can have those moments where we all get to sit together. We've done it both in person. We had to do it for years during the quarantine. And either way, there was a strength that came from just doing it with other people, from not feeling alone, feeling supported and not separate. And it can be a little bit almost frightening or disconcerting to do it alone, because it seems to magnify that fact we are alone. But in calming and quieting ourselves and being still, we can see that there may be nothing to fear in that. And in fact, we can enjoy it and savor that time. And all this talk of it being useful or helpful is accurate, but it also just puts us, as we've talked about many times, closer in touch with our lives and with the world. To just be present, to slow down or stop, to let our worries go, to just be fully present in this moment. Because as they often say, this moment is all we have, and what we choose to pay attention to becomes our entire life. so we can pay attention to what's present in us and in front of us right at this moment. We practice this in the same way we practice anything, so that we get more comfortable with it, better at it. Just as someone practices, say, a martial arts or guitar. So when a moment presents to themselves when they need to protect themselves, or someone hands them a guitar, they can just play. And as we practice this, it's as though we strengthen that muscle of our attention, that muscle of being present and not pushing things away. And we find that more and more we're present from one moment to the next, rather than turning away or running away. The mindfulness starts to seep in, kind of soak our entire lives with our being present and paying attention. And that's really what I'd hope for all of you, that you can continue practicing this and let this begin to fill your life more and more, letting you be more fully present, letting you feel your joys, letting you feel your sadnesses, rather than pushing those away too. Not having to push them away or pull them too close. Just holding them in your hand, examining them, allowing them to be part of your life. And it's always just in your pocket. It's always available with a few breaths, with turning that light of your attention around to yourself and to your breaths. As you breathe in and breathe out, and breathe in and breathe out. So keep this close, and remember that the place that it brings you to is always there, and that this practice is always right there, anytime you choose to use it. Now you can open your eyes and come back into the fullness of the world.